Imagine if you lived in a world where buying video games wasn't actually buying them. It was kind of sort of just renting them. Well, I hate to break it to you, but that's the world we live in today. And that's kind of a problem, but that's why we're going to talk about it. What is up, you guys? Welcome to The Collective. My name is Furman, and in this video, we are going to talk about video game ownership. Do we actually own the games that we are paying for? The games that we're purchasing? Is there actual ownership in these things, or are we just, kind of being scapegoated out of our money? But before we get started, don't forget to like this video, share this video, and subscribe to my channel for more awesome content just like this. All right, let's get into it. Most people would think that when it comes to not owning video games, this is a new thing, This is a brand new thing of the internet age, and it's just kind of started because of digital downloads and all of that stuff. But no, this has been this case since day one, okay? This has been the case since the 80s, the 90s, and probably before that time too. When you purchase a game, you're essentially purchasing a piece of plastic or, a disc that has the game installed on it, but what you're purchasing is actually just, plastic or a disc and a license to play these games. Now, when it comes to back then, that didn't used to be an issue. It wasn't that big of a deal because of the fact that the whole game was stored on the disc or the cartridge itself. But because of the internet era, we've kind of sort of allowed them to get away with not putting the whole game on the cartridge or the disc. Now, how we ended up here, it's kind of insane. But, it obviously makes sense. It's because these things are getting too big. These video games are starting to get way too big. We're talking about, let's just talk about the biggest culprit, which is Call of Duty. If you were to install the latest Call of Duty game, it's going to be 200 to 300 gigs. Plain and simple. If you installed every single piece of it, that's the case. Now, that is impossible. It is physically impossible to fit that much data on a disk at the moment, I believe. I haven't necessarily done very much research when it comes to this, but I'm pretty sure it's impossible to fit that much data on a disk. And, for the disk to be fast enough to read it, that's why we have SSDs, the PS5 has an M.2 SSD, and through that, it's able to achieve higher read speeds, and that's what makes it read the game faster. It makes it so that assets load up quicker, it makes it so that we have less loading screens. So there's a lot of benefits when it comes to this. I'm not denying that fact, but it's kind of hard to make the argument when it comes to a lot of these games because of what's going to happen long term. What's going to happen in the next 20, 30, 40, 50 years? I don't expect these companies to keep these games running or even working. Why would they do something that isn't going to directly make them money? At the end of the day, they're corporations. They're companies that want to make money. That is the biggest thing. Whether they're selling you a story-based game or, they're selling you a game that's just kind of fun, it's just a shooter. It's the same exact thing. They just want to make money. Now, the biggest issue when it comes to this thing is that we're not even fighting it. There's nothing really being done when it comes to all these things. I don't understand why we've somehow allowed it to be okay for us to be getting ripped off like this, for us to be getting swindled when it comes to this stuff. Because, when you pay money for something that's supposed to last you a long time, it should last the way it's supposed to. But if these servers go down, how are we going to get the rest of the game? How is it going to be possible to get the rest of the game when the servers eventually, inevitably go down? That's a question I don't have an answer to, so we're just going to move on, okay? Honestly, it is just crazy to believe that these companies have litigated themselves into the best position for them. And we've somehow not said anything about it. We haven't done anything about it. It's like the thing that nobody ever really thinks about, because they're playing a video game and they don't really think too much into it. They just they want to experience a little bit of fun. They want to have some fun playing something that fills them up with a little bit of joy. So they automatically assume that these companies have their best interests in mind, but they really don't, okay? They absolutely don't. Like, one of the things that we've all known is technically legal, kind of, sort of, is the fact that if you buy a physical copy of a game, you're allowed to have a digital copy of it. But for whatever reason, I'm willing to bet that these companies, if they found out a way to get around that, they will sue you and they will take you for every little dime that you have. Even though we know this is a right that we have, okay? The Millennium Act, or whatever it's called. We know this is a right that we have, but still, we would still end up being in the wrong, especially when it comes to Nintendo. They would sue the heck out of us, okay? They don't care. The second point that I wanted to bring up is also the DLC aspect of this thing. It's another thing that we're kind of getting swindled when it comes to that. I'm not anti-DLC. I'm absolutely not. As much as I hate it, I am not anti-DLC. I think that DLC can provide a solid piece of revenue for these video game companies if done the right way, if we're met halfway. And that's kind of the case when it comes to this. That's not really what's going on now. It's kind of just, we're getting charged ridiculous amounts of money for things that are cosmetics, things that don't really add or change anything when it comes to the game or the story. It is just something that looks cool, and that's basically it. Now remember, I said I am not anti it, I just think it is overpriced. How does it make sense that you can spend thousands of dollars on a storefront in a game through cosmetics? How are we still allowing this type of behavior from these companies? You would think that this is the one thing that we should band together. Do you really think that it takes that much developer hours to make these skins, or to do that? You really think that there's that much development time going into these things? I don't think that there is, and it doesn't make sense to me. And in my opinion, I think that these things should be capped. I think that there should be some type of law that makes it illegal for you to spend over a certain amount of money when it comes to DLC. Why aren't we being defended when it comes to this? We obviously have the reason. It's because we're not fighting. We are not doing anything when it comes to these things. Now remember what I said. We're talking about a $70 video game. Let's mention Call of Duty because it's the most guilty. Pay $70 for this Call of Duty game, and then you can technically go in its shop and you can just buy everything. And I'm willing to bet that you could probably get to $500 easily, if not more than that. $1,000. And it's kind of sort of gambling, but not really. It's just a waste of money. And unfortunately, there's a lot of people that don't really have self-control, or they just kind of want to be the coolest dude in the block and they want to have the latest skin. I'm not gonna lie, I was tempted to get that Rhea Ripley skin because I thought it would be cool to play as her in Call of Duty. But come on, guys, is it worth $30 or $40 for a single skin? That is absolutely bananas. And we don't even realize it happened, but when DLC first started, it was mega cheap. It was like a couple bucks, $5 at the most, and to buy everything it was like $20. I think that even now, with inflation and with everything how it's been going, I think this is still a fair price. I think that this still is solid and it makes sense. Especially when you look at the scope of this, when you look at the fact that there is millions of consumers playing these video games and literally spending some forms of money. How is it possible that the highest grossing game of all time is a free-to-play game? The game that has made the most money is free to play. Can you translate that for me? It doesn't make any sense, okay? It just absolutely does not make any sense. And unfortunately, it's something that we need to do something about. I used too many somethings in that sentence, but you know what I'm saying, right? It is something where we just need to take action, okay? We need to mobilize. We need to stand up and fight for our rights because nobody else is going to do it for us. And, you know, if I ever get to the position where this channel gets big, if there is something that I can do, that is something that I'd like to do, okay? I'd like to fight for our rights. You know, our rights to not get ripped off. Our rights to be defended against these predatory companies that just want to steal all our money and give us digital sewage. And that's literally what it is. You're spending actual cash money for something digital that for the life of the game you'll enjoy, but that'll be it. After the game is over, that's it, okay? Your money is gone. And take it from somebody that has been in that position, okay? I have been in that position. Unfortunately, I have spent a little too much money, more than I'd like to admit, but you know, that's happened to me, and that's kind of the reason why I kind of hate it more than ever. Like, that happened to me when it comes to Pokemon Go. Like, they give you the disease. They present you the disease, and then they monetize the cure. So, you know, it's no different than gambling. It's really what it is. And Pokemon Go was the worst one. They would give you eggs up the yin-yang. Like, you'd be getting eggs all over the place. But in order to hatch those eggs, you need incubators. And if you don't have any incubators, guess what? There's only one way to get them. Or there's only two ways to get them. You get really lucky and get them as a gift, or you pay for them. It is just crazy. It blows my mind how much money these companies are making. And, you know, most of the people that are paying for it, they're just like, oh, I don't care. It's 20 bucks. It's 20 bucks here. It's 20 bucks there. It's not that big of a deal until you realize that you've spent thousands of dollars on Pokemon Go. And just for reference, you could probably, okay, I'm not going to say half. You could probably buy a good amount of the stuff that's on this wall right now for a couple $1,000s. All these video games and stuff like that, I got them all off of really good deals, but they weren't that expensive. You guys could do the same exact thing, and all of these people that are wasting money on these stupid companies and these stupid gacha games could do the same thing. Heck, even if you're not a collector, okay, you could spend your money on something that is worth way more valuable, and it's going to last you way longer. In conclusion, I say this to say that we need to take some action. We need to do something about this because this is absolutely ridiculous. The fact that we are being taken advantage of as gamers just because of the fact that we enjoy a video game, we're being completely ripped off because they know that we're going to pay for it. And you know, enough is enough. I'm not saying I don't want to buy these things. I'm just saying, why does it have to be so expensive? And there is no way in heck they are going to tell me or convince me that it's because it's that expensive to develop these things. It's just not. It is absolutely not. These corporations are making billions of dollars on this trash, on this stupid DLC. Alright guys, that is the video, and as always guys, do not forget to like this video, share this video, and subscribe to my channel for more awesome content just like this. And we will see you guys on the next video. Peace! Sorry, hope I didn't get too preachy on this one. And even if I did though, who cares? I'm sick and tired of all of us getting ripped off. This is ridiculous, okay? Bye.